Hey guys, it's KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel on YouTube. I've noticed a real trend over the last few years when it comes to UFOs, UFO reporting in mainstream media. Subjects concerning paranormal, supernatural, and specifically UFOs, this has all become mainstream now. All of this used to be considered a fringe topics. But I've noticed it become much more mainstream, specifically over just this last year. And I believe that all of this is leading up to disclosure, but I don't think disclosure is going to look like what a lot of people think it's going to look like. And the other thing is that once these things are revealed on a worldwide scale, will they be actual invaders, or will this be a Project Bluebeam type scenario? Project Bluebeam, if you didn't know, please look into it. It's a technology that the government owns that can literally create images up in the skies, anything they choose. So we're going to take a look at some of these mainstream stories that are openly admitting to UFOs being out there and actually being real. What are they? They don't know. I've covered this subject for years, and there's a lot of predictive programming surrounding this idea. We're going to get into some of those stories here in just a bit. And I'm going to show you some examples of sightings that have happened just over the last few weeks. And the sightings I'm going to show you, I believe personally that these are entities we're looking at. These aren't spaceships. I believe they're either demonic interdimensionals or the fallen angels. But for now, let's take a look at this. U.S. Navy admits that UFOs have been spotted near top secret military facilities. One of the videos I'm going to share with you actually took place over NASA just about a week ago. Here's another headline. This one from May 2nd, 2019. Navy says new UFO reports will not be released to the public. This from May 3rd, Yahoo News. Navy plans to document UFO sightings but keep them confidential. Now we have this from April 24th, 2019. Frustrated pilots got Navy to stop dismissing UFO sightings. May 1st, 2019. This is from Bloomberg News. Again, I'm just making the point that all of this is becoming very mainstream. The aliens among us. An uptick in UFO sightings by military pilots raises all sorts of interesting questions. April 26, 2019. What the hell is going on with UFOs in the Department of Defense? Here's another story, this from April 26, 2019. Aliens are interbreeding with humans to create a new hybrid species that will save our planet, claims Oxford lecturer. So sure, on the surface, some people are going to say this guy's just a kook. But what he's talking about is called panspermia. And I'm going to show you how there's been a lot of predictive programming with panspermia just over the last few years. It's the idea that human beings have, quote, alien DNA within. So speaking of mainstream, this is from Forbes.com. It doesn't get much more mainstream than Forbes. And this is from April 30th, 2019. Why space aliens might message us with encoded DNA. So by now you're starting to see this trend. Here's a story from just a few years ago, 19 pieces of non-human DNA found in human genome. So you're beginning to see this trend, you're beginning to see this narrative form. Here's another one from March 29th, 2018, a controversial study of a girl who ufologists called Alien. And it says here, DNA analysis done on unusual remains found in Chile proved the girl was human. But that's not the most important part of the story, at least to me. Again, this follows in with a common narrative we're seeing coming out of the mainstream, trying to connect human beings with, quote, aliens or alien DNA. Here's a story from the BBC. About a year ago, gene swapping means you have alien DNA inside you. Normally, genes get passed down from parents to their young, but sometimes they can jump around, moving from one species to another. And here's another example. Scientists find alien code, quote, embedded in human DNA. And here's the end game, I believe, evidence of ancient alien engineers. All of this is perpetuating the same lie, and I've been covering this subject, as I said earlier, for many years. Ultimately, this is about acceptance. This is about preparing the public for an introduction to our, quote, alien saviors. Here's another one. Mystery of our 145, quote, alien genes. Scientists discover some DNA is not from our ancestors and say it could change how we think about evolution. So we have an uptick in UFO sightings, so much so the mainstream media is covering it now. We have multiple stories connecting human beings with, quote, alien DNA, and also a talk of evolution. Human beings will evolve into these things. All of this, once again, I believe, is setting the stage for an introduction to the alien savior. Here's another one, this from March 20th, 2017. They get right to the point with this one. Aliens created our genetic code and signed it with the number 37, scientists say. The answer to the origin of life could simply be the number 37, which could prove that our genetic code was created by, quote, ancient aliens, according to a new scientific theory. So there's different types of UFOs. Some of them look like actual spaceships. Some of them come in the form of shape-shifting light. Some look like humanoids or people flying through the air. I mean, there's multiple types of UFOs. But the type I've always focused on, and the ones I'm going to show you today, typically have to do with the orbs, or the shape-shifting, what I believe are light beings, interdimensional demons, or perhaps the fallen angels themselves. And now we have all these stories coming out trying to convince us that we are them. Speaking of the number 37, I found something interesting. Again, this is right here, aliens created our genetic code and signed it with the number 37. So what's the significance of the number 37? So here's some interesting information about the number 37. According to R. Alendi, it is, quote, the individual evolution in the cosmic organization. According to Fathers of the Church, 37 is a symbol of the Christ. It is the symbol of the alive Word of God. To this number is thus allotted a certain dignity. According to the antique science of Chaldeans, the number 37 symbolizes the force, the capacity, and the power. And here's an interesting connection to the number of the beast. There exists an interesting relation between numbers 37 and 666. From 666, we obtain 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18, and 18 times 37 is 666. It's interesting because we're actually seeing this concept manifest in our reality. The story right here, this is from March 2019. Born female and transitioned to male, Jareth Nebula now identifies as a genderless alien. Here's another example of how this idea is manifesting into the physical. Out of this world, man who wants his privates removed to become a sexless alien is warned it could be impossible. Vinny O from Los Angeles, 23, has spent $40,000 on over 110 procedures to become a genderless extraterrestrial. So before I show you some of this footage that's been captured over the last few weeks, I want to share a clip with you. This clip right here should really hammer home just how mainstream this idea is becoming. Again, they really are preparing us for some type of invasion or introduction. Check this out.
Well, for decades, only crackpots and crazy people believed in UFOs. That's what I thought anyway. And then in recent years, it turns out that governments have been taking them seriously all along. Very seriously. Nick Pope is a journalist who has spent years researching UFOs for the British government. He says that UFOs aren't just real. They also frequently come close to crashing into commercial airliners, among other things. Nick Pope joins us tonight. Nick, thank you very much for coming on. So it's really not a question of, do governments believe UFOs are real? Yes, they do. The United States government does. The British government does. The question is, do they have any idea what they are, where they're from?
No, we don't. We keep an open mind on it. We don't rule anything off, take nothing off the table with this. Our point really is that whatever these things turn out to be, there is a serious defense, national security, and air safety issue here.
Yes. Well, so that's kind of the nub of it, and that is that's where my interest comes from. So why aren't governments encouraging the population to, as they say about terrorism, if you see something, say something, report sightings to the government so we can make sense of this potential threat?
Well, they should be, and that's what we certainly did at the Ministry of Defence for many years. We took it very seriously. Our own pilots were seeing these things. We were having radar operators track them. And we knew, again, through intelligence and through open source material, we knew that the Russians and the Chinese and others were working on this too. The problem was that just the pop culture baggage from the term UFO, flying saucer, little green men, people don't take it seriously, but they should.
So we've ruled out, I think, that these are aircraft, experimental aircraft, or technically advanced aircraft from other countries. Is that true?
Well, no, we keep an open mind, as I say, and some of these things probably are Russian or Chinese, whoever it is, but that's the point. We must find out if there's something in our airspace we need to know. For years, governments said they didn't do this. They did. I did it for the British government. I can only talk about this now because my old employers are gradually declassifying and releasing information about my old job. We now know, of course, the Pentagon had a program too. I think it will take congressional hearings to get to the bottom of all this, not just in the United States, but all around the world. And I'd like to see those congressional hearings.
Commercial pilots have very often reported sighting objects in the air that seem to defy the laws of physics. To what extent are these objects a threat to commercial aviation, potentially?
Well, certainly the British Ministry of Defence and our Civil Aviation Authority, which is the UK equivalent of your FAA, have dozens of cases in our files about near misses, some of which where pilots have had to take evasive action. And again, it comes back to the point. I don't care, in one sense, what these things are, but when there is this flight safety concern, when we have these near misses, we sure as heck should be doing more to find out.
That's for sure. Nick Pope, really one of the most credible experts on this subject. I hope you will come back on our show. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
So now we've seen the trend, we see the narrative, and we see all of this manifesting in the mainstream. I want to share several clips with you now, and again, all of these sightings have taken place just over the last few weeks. The first two pertain to strange cloud activity. In the very first one, I want you to notice the orbs, or the light entities that are floating in and out of this strange cloud activity. And the rest are more examples of, again, these interdimensional beings. All of this has to do with lying signs and wonders in the sky, in my opinion. A slow disclosure that's speeding up. An acceptance of the reality of these beings. And an overall indoctrination into the lie of what this actually is. So let's check these out.
Ja, hallo. Also ich bin jetzt hier im Dienst. Mein Passmann, der hier steht, der filmt diese Lichterscheinung am Himmel und dieses geht schon seit 10 Minuten. Also wir filmen jetzt dieses Mal weiter. Zuerst dachten wir, das wären Gewitterblitze, aber die finden immer an derselben Stelle da oben statt. Und wir gucken mal, wie das hier noch weitergeht. Ach so, was ich noch ergänzen wollte, diese Lichter, die kommen von über den Wolken. Die werden nicht vom Boden aus angestrahlt.
What is that? Balloons from NASA? Holy crap, it's like traveling all in together. Let me see if you can see. It has to be weather balloons that NASA throws out to see where the hell the weather is at.
Can you see it on your phone, babe?
Yeah, but it has to be balloons. Those gotta be balloons, Kira. Oh, they are lit up, right? What is that? Look at that. And they're moving around. Those are balloons, Kira. It has to be a balloon with air or light inside, and that is not really normal.
Dad, it's probably a bunch of little jets.
Balloons?
Jets.
What's that?
Jets? You don't know what jets are?
No, I don't. Look at that. They're traveling all together. It's like the wind's blowing it. That's why I say maybe it's a balloon and they're all in one spot just flying around in circles. Look how many there are. Look, there's the moon.
It's a jet.
A what?
A jet. I do not know what a jet is.
What is a jet?
It's a very fast.
Those aren't jets.
Wait.
There's more than 100 of
No,
them.
how is there more now?
They fly and they move around and then they come together again. No, don't tell me they're making noises. Get back in the car. Oh, I can see them perfect. Look at it. There you go. That's why iPhone ain't better than Samsung, buddy.
Here, that's funny. How come Dad's able to see them and you're not?
ਕੋਈ ਉਹ ਸੈਟੇਲਾਈਟ ਹੈ
ਨਹੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਇੰਨੀ ਨੇੜੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਸੈਟੇਲਾਈਟ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਮਾਤਾ
ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਹੈ
ਨਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਦੱਸ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ